All right, today we're going to be rebuilding one of the pistons on this 2001 Mustang COBRA dual piston caliper. And what ended up happening was, upon doing a brake job, I noticed that you can see right there that this seal was broken. And the problem with that is that fluid can come out and leak through, and then there's no integrity in the caliper. So it's really not that difficult to go ahead and switch this out. You can watch my last video where there's a description, a link in the description for how to get the piston to come out. It's essentially with compressed air. And I've gone ahead and cleaned this up with a wire brush and some brake part cleaner. And now we're ready to service the caliper. I've also bought a new seal kit, which has both the inner seal, which is that black line in there, that inner seal, as well as the boot itself. The only other thing I'm going to need is a little bit of this syl-glyde. You can get this at any auto parts store. I probably got it for about $5. And the kit that I got, you can either order online, or I ended up getting this one at O'Reilly Auto Parts. So let's go ahead and get started. And the first thing that we're going to need to do is take this inner seal out. And in order to not score it, I'm going to try to use a lightweight object as opposed to a metal screwdriver. Okay, so what I've done, I have this old plastic tool that's a clip. And again, you know, you can use a small screwdriver to get into here to take this seal out. But basically just to pry under it. And once you do, this seal will come right out. So now we've got the inner seal out, and I'm just going to go ahead and clean out the inside of that piston cylinder, and then we're going to be ready to add the lubricant to the new seals and add the put the piston back in. You know, while I'm cleaning this, it's interesting because for years, as kind of a home mechanic, Sunday mechanic as you'd say, I was always intimidated by calipers, and anytime I did a brake job and they were bad, because they would usually only cost between $70 and $110, especially if they're only single piston. If I ever had a problem with these binding up, I would just replace them, especially in the front. And this is, I'd never done this before, but this really is not that difficult. You're talking about $5 for a seal. As long as the integrity of the caliper itself, which is very, very tough and almost, you know, feels like indestructible from normal wear and tear. The only pieces that are susceptible to wear and tear, potentially the pistons themselves, which are in great shape, the seals, and then the bleed valve, if you want to replace that as well. They make kits for that. So there's really no reason to buy a loaded caliper or a remanufactured caliper, unless the one reason I could see is like I showed in one of my previous videos on how to get the piston out using compressed air through the hole, either hole, would be that you just don't have compressed air. And in that case, your hand might be forcing that you have to buy a remanufactured caliper if you can't do this job. So anyway, let's get on and let's go ahead and start. So we have the old one. Make sure not to confuse the old ones with the new set. So we'll put those off to the side. We now have a new set here. And so we're going to go ahead and use the syl-glyde. And on the syl-glyde, I'm going to go ahead and just take a squeeze and coat it onto the new seal, the new inner seal. And you might be wondering, well, how does that expand into that hole? It's pretty neat because it, you know, it just puts them on. And then what we'll do, let me just move this out of the way. We'll go ahead in here. I'm just going to put it in the bottom part first. And it goes in a lot easier than it does to come out. Just gonna, there we go. It's snapped into place. Just kind of running some of that sealant, and then I'll go ahead and just clean it up a little bit. I mean, the boot is going to have that on there too, but just to make sure, Everything's nice and clean. Wipe up any excess. And there we go. We got the first seal done. All right. The second one, you'll see a lot of videos about putting these on in the challenge, but it's actually not that difficult. Remember, you just need the syl-glyde. So we're going to go ahead and take the syl-glyde. I'm going to put it all over the outside, including the groove of the caliper piston here. And this next part, and that's why I'm wearing these gloves as well, because this stuff is kind of a mess. And so we'll do that. I'm going to get another little squeeze here and put this on the inside of the new seal. All right, so we're getting all of the syl-glyde on. And what's going to happen is this part, you can go ahead and you can expand it. This part is going to go in the groove. And this part, this outside part, is going to go into the retaining area, this line inside the caliper. And the way to do this, we're going to go ahead and slip this on the caliper piston. It's not difficult, it's just a little slippery. And if it gets in the groove, just pinch it and pull it down. And the common technique is to allow it to hang off the end like this. Okay, you see that? Let it hang off the end. Get it in the bottom groove, which leaves the top to be pinched in. And there you have it. I got it that time. Once it's in, you can press the piston in. I'm going to do it nice and slow. Bingo. And there you have it. You want to check for integrity around all sides. It is in there all around. I'm actually going to take some of that syl-glyde and lubricate the other seal that I didn't do, just so it has a little moisture and doesn't get any dry cracking on it. It's not going to hurt anything. And then I'll be able to compress this piston back in using my my brake tool. So now I can go ahead, install the brake pads, and put this back on the car. So that's it. Just to review the steps. In the last video, we took compressed air to pop the piston, either both or the one that's needed, out. In this case, this was a ripped seal. We had the old seal that had the puncture in it. Because it was old, you can see right through there. We went ahead and got a new set of seals. We used syl-glyde. We took out the inner seal first and replaced it, and then we replaced the piston boot seal itself. Hope this helped. Thank you again for joining me, the Eclectic Handyman, on another video.